Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
Good day to you, sir. Happy almost New Year. How was your Christmas?
Oh, it was fantastic, as it is every year.
Mine as well.
So glad to hear it. Before we get into what we watched this week, we got to plug some music, and the music this month has been brought to you by the New York-based alt hip-hop band, the Oxymorons, with their song Moon Chasers. Be sure to hit the show notes so you catch all the links to their social media accounts. They're doing big things. Give them a like, a follow, and a subscribe. Show them some love. Once again, we appreciate them. Jeff.
Yes, sir.
What did we watch this week?
Well, it's R-rated Christmas movie month, but as we stated, Christmas is over, and maybe unlike some, when Christmas passes, I'm pretty much over it. Like, I don't want to hear any more music. I'm ready to put my tree down. I'm done. And what's next is New Year's Day. We're just a few days away from 2024, and so I thought, what the hey? Let's watch New Year's Evil from 1980. It, of course, is rated R. It's directed by Emmett Alston. It stars Kip Niven, Roz Kelly, Grant Kramer. Really, nobody. Nobody you've ever
cast.
heard of.
Oh, okay.
An unstar cast. Okay, I've never heard of or seen any of these folks in any other film ever.
There's probably a good reason for that.
Now, I'm just going to guess by Mark's tone that this is one of his favorite films that we've watched.
It's not. Not going to bury the lead here.
No. Well, I mean, going in, I was pretty certain that you weren't going to like this.
Wait, let me ask you, did you like this movie?
Hey, I didn't hate it. I mean, it's not one of the best movies we've seen this year, and it's certainly not one of the worst.
I don't know, man. All right, we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait till the end of the episode to find out if it is.
I'm really curious in, because this is our finale for the year, and this is one of my favorite episodes because we do our top and bottom fives, and I'll be really curious to see if the movie near the start of the year that you said was an all-time bottom two movie, Ravenous, even makes your bottom five list.
I don't know. You'll have to find out.
Yeah.
You have to wait to find out. So what made so you had heard of this one? You haven't seen it, right?
Right. There's another podcast I listened to about movies, and they were doing a season just on holiday, like a Valentine's Day killer movie and this, and I was like, I've not seen it. I'll watch it. I like schlock. So that's why I picked it.
Schlock this was. The story, like, a cardinal sin for a slasher film, right, is if it's boring. And
I can agree with that.
I found this movie to be boring.
Yeah.
It's just like it revolves around a serial killer. And honestly, I didn't mind Kip Niven as the killer here, right?
Yeah.
He was charismatic enough to where I'm like, okay, if we get him throughout the movie, I'm okay. But what happens is that we get him in bits and pieces, and then the movie just kind of abandons him for long stretches.
Yeah, because he's not the main star. The main star is Diane Sullivan, who is Roz Kelly. Now,
right.
because spoilers for this movie from 1980s, did you see the twist coming that he was actually her husband?
No, I mean,
I didn't either. I thought that was a well done surprise. I
actually like the very. No, it's not. But I actually enjoyed the final twist at the very end much more than Richard.
Oh, I saw that one coming. The other one I didn't see coming.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean,
there's plenty of breadcrumbs with that. So the son, puts on red nylons for some reason.
It's so fucking
now.
So fucking
and then
weird.
He's got and this movie predates this, but he's got a Geordie LaForge eye thing on, and then he put the nylon mask over it. It was weird, and I was like, they give you so like it almost feels like you're trying to make him a red herring, but he's clearly not because they show the killer's face
right
away, which again I thought was an interesting choice because we're used to movies like Scream where the whole point is the whodunit, and here it is like here's the guy's face, and yet it still was able to do sort of an interesting twist at the end. Well, two twists, but an interesting twist that this character is related to another, and they get into that, and they drop just enough little hints where you're like, oh, maybe I should have seen that coming, and you didn't, like, where's Dad? Oh, he's in where the hell ever,
right.
So I thought that was a good part of the movie. And the second twist is that their son sort of takes over for their dad after he dies at the end of the film. And I thought that was interesting too.
In the motivation, all right, so we get like an exposition dump. Towards the end where Richard and his wife, they're outside the elevator and he's telling her why he's doing the things he's doing. And then it's revealed that she's kind of got a thing for their son, which I thought was weird.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, he says you what's his face, Derek or whatever his name is, has told me that you be trying to turn him on. And
what? I don't.
Yeah, go back and watch that shit. Go back and watch that shit because that's what he says.
Okay.
And that's probably why that dude has nylon over his face. Because he's got fucking mixed emotions about his mom. But it just like Richard's given the backstory really about why, and I don't really feel like he needed to. It could have just been like, I hate women, and boom, I hate you. Boom, we don't need this. I mean, I guess it sets up the second twist a little bit, but
yeah.
I just like for long stretches we get the what's her name? Main lady's name.
The character is
Diane.
Yeah.
We're just meant to care about her and as this like host of this weird New Year's Eve party. And I just like we didn't need to, like the film didn't need to spend so much time with her as opposed to the more interesting character of her husband, who is clearly hates women. He's just going around killing women, but I don't know, man. It's an hour and 25, and so I'm like, okay.
But
right.
It could have been an hour. Like
I'm
for not
sure.
over the moon on this one either, right? I don't think it was that bad, but there are a lot of problems. Mostly, there's a lot of time spent, and the movie this reminded me of the most Prom Night to a degree, because in Prom Night, even though it's like my favorite part of Prom Night, there's like a 20-minute disco scene.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the best part of Prom Night. But
it doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't honestly need to be there. And there's a ton of like these musical performances. And I got to say, the song New Year's Evil that opens the movie and then they play it again live at the venue fucking kicks ass, man. That song is dope. I love a movie that has a song that is the title of the film.
Sure.
It always makes me happy. And I thought that it kicked ass. And then you get the opening scene. So it's 1980. I don't know if it's really 1979 in this world, but the movie released in 80. But you got all your punk kids, and they're just idiots, like riding around in the car. I don't even know what they're doing. They're like 10 to a car.
Yeah.
And then they get to the venue for this concert countdown thing at the end of the year. And the guy whips out his switchblade, but it's just a comb. I mean, it's classic. I kind of dig the silly appeal to this movie.
And it takes place in LA, right? So I didn't quite get the and then when the appeal is I read synopsis, a review synopsis after I had finished it, that said that this film is very much a time capsule of the the 70s and 80s, which is accurate, right? It's just there's just a lot of things that are just happening in this movie that are like, oh well, that's old. But I didn't really get the the killer is gonna go to a different time zone.
He didn't go to different time zones. He killed based on each time zone.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
He
more
was
sense.
in L.A. the whole time, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
killed Eastern time.
Because at the
Central
beginning of the
Mountain.
movie, when he goes, I'm gonna, as the clock goes back or whatever he says, I'm gonna be a different victim. I'm like, what? You're already in L.A. How? What do you go fucking fly to Hawaii? And at the end of the movie, it's the radio says something about it's midnight in Hawaii.
So the answer is yes.
Yes,
He was
right.
going to Hawaii.
What did you think of the insane asylum mental institution scene?
That was bizarre, wasn't it? It was like, and again, this is in 1980, so this is not tasteful in any
Right.
way.
Sure.
So it's very, what's the stereotypical, even like just like insane, and that's the wrong word to use, but it's ridiculous. They're dancing.
It's just people, right? They're just people that's thrashing about.
Yeah. Like this is what they do. No,
Which back then they probably didn't have the medication they do now. So,
I mean, that's probably true, but I was alive in 1980, but I didn't, visit many institutions. So I don't know. I can't say, but I have a fairly educated guess that it's not like this.
yeah, probably not. It just like there's whole stretches in the first half of this movie that are just nothing but like mosh pit scenes.
Yeah.
And
So we got to get into these. So they're stupid also, but there's something I like about them because at the first you get the opening song, New Year's Evil, and that song again kicks ass. It thrashes, and moshing to it makes sense. One thing that's weird is the sound mix because you can hear all the footsteps of the people in the concert. And if you're at a concert, the music ought to be loud enough where you can't hear footsteps. So I don't know if you've ever seen some of those videos on YouTube of like they'll take like a scene or a music video and then just take all the sound out of it. So all you hear is like footsteps and lip
footsteps,
smacking,
yeah.
and it's like awkward. It kind of sounded like that, but the music was still there. But then later on, there's a slower song, and they just mosh slower. They don't do a different dance. They just mosh slower, and you hear, and the music quieter, so you hear click, clack, click, clack, click. It's just bad, but in a good way. Like that made me laugh. That was funny.
It's just the film's kind of all over the place. And then we're meant to, I guess, sympathize with the people that are getting killed. But they're weird too. Like the nurse lady, trying to get it on with this guy she just met literally a minute before.
10 minutes, she says. I just met you 10 minutes ago.
And he's like, does it matter? And she's like, not
tonight.
It's dumb.
This guy has game.
He does. I mean, listen, he puts on that mustache for the second kill and let's go.
He goes to the bar and
he picks up two ladies.
Two women, right?
Yeah.
So
let's
he's
go.
good. He's good.
But, hey, what do you think about when he killed the second lady from the bar?
In the
He
trash
popped,
can?
Yeah, he popped.
Incredible, because I really didn't expect it, right? Because he got the kill. So here's let's set this up. If you hadn't watched this movie, he gets these two women from the bar. He sends one woman in to buy some wine or something, and while she's inside, he suffocates and kills the woman in the car
With like a Ziploc bag.
Yeah. Under the guise of it being filled with marijuana, which the marijuana is in the bag. You can see it. It's funny. So she comes out of the store. The car that he brought her in is gone. And she walks down the street, and there is a piece of blue dress hanging out of this dumpster. And so
she finds the shoe before that.
The shoe, right. And so I'm thinking, hey, she's going to see this dead body and scream, and she'll be the one that reports it so the police will know. What I didn't expect was him to be in the dumpster. He made a plan. He's like, I got it. I'm going to lead her this way with breadcrumbs. I'm going to be in the dumpster.
Wonder how long he would have waited in there.
Hilarious.
You think you would have waited in there very long if she didn't ever
Fuck
shut up?
No, it stinks. It's behind like a club or a restaurant or some shit. No, hell no. But he was fine with it. It was pretty funny.
And then he positions the bodies in like a nearby swing set.
Yeah, it's weird. But I'm here for it. Don't get
But
me
like
wrong.
that whole scene where the cops are, they find the bodies on the swing set. Kind of horror, feel
Yeah.
where it's just the flashlight and you can't see anything other than what the light on the flashlight is shining on. And then they find the body, and then the most ridiculous is the second body comes down a slide.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah.
like,
So
what
these are
the
all things
fuck?
I like. Like I can't take those as complaints, Mark. I apologize, but I just can't. Because to me, the things that I don't like are the long scenes with the main character because she's not appealing. Like they set her
Right.
up
Right.
to not be appealing. Like the first introduction to her is she's ignoring her son, right? Who's trying to give, I've got good news, Mom. Oh, okay. And she's just moving on with her day. Granted, she's busy, so this may not be the best time to drop a bomb on your mom because she's about to go do the thing that is most important to her all year round. Like this is the big event for her.
Yeah.
But that's how they introduce her as some career mom who doesn't care that her child has something to say to her. So for the viewer, you're like, fuck this girl then. And so there's nothing compelling about her to make me want to see her win. And I actually thought the way he was trying to kill her was pretty creative. I got to say, this guy, I think, was a elevator engineer at some point because he takes over. He goes in like a fuse box.
Right.
And he takes over the elevator and he's able to control it and he takes over the camera and it's cool. But he like drops it down and flips the switch. The door opens. He kicks the shit out of the cop, gets in there with his wife. They have that long monologue. And then he like ties her to a chain underneath the elevator and then brings it all the way up and then starts to bring it down. I thought that was really like a creative kill for a movie. Like I was like, I don't think I've seen that before or
Yeah.
since.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest I can think of is the first Mission Impossible movie when Emilio Estevez gets squished. But I thought that was fun. I got to say, I also appreciated the third kill where he didn't actually succeed. That's not something you see in horror movies. Normally, he's like, I'm going to kill Eastern, Central, Mountain, and then Pacific time. And so he gets the first two kills, no big deal. The third one, she gets away.
Yeah.
And he never makes up for that kill. And I thought that was interesting because he's like, oh, shit, missed my time period. And then just moves on. I
See,
thought that was
like,
kinda
do you
interesting.
think that was intention? Do you think that as far as like storytelling was intentional?
I think
Or do you
so. Why would?
Yeah.
Because to me, the more obvious approach would be to have him complete the third kill,
Right.
and I think it was intentional. Maybe not to kind of set us off as the viewer to be like, "Whoa, he's not invincible," or not sort of like Jason Voorhees. Of course, I don't think Jason was around yet, but
No.
I do think it was an
81, 82.
intentional choice.
Yeah. I think maybe the more like a focus could have been on the ritual. Like, I don't really know if this killer guy's had this ritual that he had to kill at these times. I mean, that would have been interesting if like he had this thing where he had to focus on, I got to get this kill in by, 9:00, 10:00, whatever. And then the one that got away from him, and then it shows them like, oh my god, I just got to like randomly kill somebody because it's almost 11:00. I don't know. I mean, it was interesting that the one got away, and we had this big scene where like he's searching for her, and then the cops find her, and it's kind of like when they first find her, and she's afraid to come out because we haven't seen the face yet.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be like, hey, is it still the killer, or is it actually the cops? I mean, it was okay.
Okay, so real quick.
yeah.
Friday the 13th came out in May of 1980. This
Okay.
film came out in December 19th of 1980. So so one thing that you get in this movie is a sort of it's not just like Friday the 13th, you know,
Right.
it's something kind of similar. And I was like, I wonder what came first. Friday the 13th came first.
Yeah, I mean, so May of 1980, and this one came out in December of 1980.
Yeah. And I think that is enough time, especially with the quality of this film, to
Yeah.
just throw some shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Hollywood at that time is probably it's substantially smaller than it is now.
You call this Hollywood? I don't know, man.
No, I'm just saying, like, the circles that these people run in is probably a lot smaller than it is today. And I could see that where Friday the 13th would be serve as some inspiration for some decisions made in here. There's very much horror tones in this, even though it's not a horror movie by trade. I don't think it's a slasher film, but it's not really scary at any point.
Yeah, I agree. It's more. I think, like you said, the big sin of this movie is just all the time in between the kills and just our lead not being interesting.
Right. So all right. So aside from that, what are your other things that you did not like?
I didn't like the son. I thought he sucked as an actor. It is campy and bad. Like I said, I didn't like the lead. I didn't like the long periods of time with the lead. But honestly, that's about it. But the problem is that takes up a pretty large portion of the film.
Yeah. I mean, it's an hour and 20, so I mean, the movie has to move brisk if it's going to be good, right?
I think this could have been made for TV. And
it honestly, some of it looked like it was made for TV.
Yeah, there is. And for being rated R, it is not.
It's tame.
Very it's tame. Pretty tame. There's a little bit of nip, but not much.
Who's?
And
Who's Nip?
The girl in the car, the one that got away.
Oh, I missed
the
that.
Guy's in the back seat rubbing on her, and you get a little areola poking out. But and then like the kills are a lot of times off screen. You never see like like in Friday the 13th when Jason, and those are even been somewhat tame, but like he hits someone with a hatchet, you can see it go in the head and everything.
Right.
There's none of that here. It's a relatively tame. I think the one thing I did like was, and it is probably the most gruesome thing, is he does attach her to the bottom of the elevator and he pulls her all the way up to the top floor and the head of her friend is there. I thought that was great. I was like, that's a sadistic asshole right there. But
I think the why we didn't get much gore is because we talked about last week with Anna and the Apocalypse, but the budget has to be a factor there. It's prosthetics cost a lot of money, and I just think you don't show the gory stuff is because that's money you don't got. I wouldn't. This movie would have been better had it been more gory. It's because the good slasher films.
Right, that's what we're here for. We're here for the titillation, and we didn't get
titties.
it in either.
Titties and gore.
That falls under titillation.
Right.
To me, titillation would be both. And when you go to a horror film, that's kind of what you want,
All
but
right.
we didn't get it.
Anything else on this one? I don't.
No. I mean, no, nothing. It's fine.
So are you going to recommend it or not?
No.
Okay.
Even though I'm a little more positive on it than you probably are, I don't. It's still not good. I wouldn't even put it in the good side of things.
It's not good. I'm not going to recommend it either. It's just there's something to be said for early slasher films, right? And seeing kind of these pioneer films in certain genres. Because I mean, like you go back. All right, Prom Night was what, 77?
No, that was 80.
Was it 80?
Yeah.
So you don't have a whole lot of like slasher films prior to
I mean,
1980.
Halloween was already out.
Sure. And that's probably your godfather of slasher films, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a pretty new genre for this time period, and it's
They
it's
consider
interesting.
Psycho to be the first slasher from 1960, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it a slasher film, but
yeah.
I mean, there's and of course most of these people that made these movies here in this time period probably, Hitchcock's a big inspiration, but I just it's kind of fun seeing a genre get its footing underneath it throughout the 80s, and it's interesting that this movie is kind of a forgotten part of that, and it will continue to be forgotten because I've already forgotten it.
Wow. Well, it is the end of the year, and
It is the end of the
before
year.
we draft for 2024,
Yeah,
we got to go through our top and bottom 5 films that we've watched in this current year of the movie Draft House.
right.
So, if it's all right with you, I say we start with our bottoms, and then we end with we end out on a good note.
Yes.
as we
Every
end
year
the year
we
head into New Year.
we start with the bottoms and end up on top.
And we're here.
So we're going to count them down from 5, right? Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Do
gotta
you
build
want to
up.
go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So,
Okay.
now my number 1 will be the worst movie, in my opinion, that we watched this year. So,
Yeah.
5 will be the best of the worst. And I
Okay.
told Mark off pod when we were going through, it was really hard to narrow down the top 5. We watched a lot of good movies. It was actually really a little bit harder to get 5 absolute stinkers. Now, I did find 4 stinkers, but the 5th one, I almost feel bad for having it here because it's not that bad. It's bad. It's Mr. Nobody. I really don't like movies of this ilk. And I really, I think I would have a panic attack watching it again. But it's honestly not there are definitely 4 worse movies than this, but I really did not enjoy Mr. Nobody.
It's too bad.
And I'm not basing that on Jared Leto. I just
Right.
didn't enjoy that film.
That's fine. I went with, and so like towards the end of this film we just watched, New Year's Evil, I was like, dang, is this a bottom 5 movie for me?
I talked you out of it. It's okay.
I think you probably did, but at the time I was thinking, there's going to be a fight for number 5 now. But ultimately I went with Ravenous.
Oh,
I mean, it's just, it was just, so much wasted potential with that movie. I think what saves it from being a top 3 bottom movie was the villain guy.
yeah.
But aside from him, man, that movie's garbage.
I still like that movie. But that's fair. I kind of thought it would be down here, but I had hoped it would have missed the list, but
Alas.
not to be. So number 4, a film that is almost assuredly on both of our lists, is The Puppet Master. I surprised, like this, The Puppet Master is my sort of stupid, and the fact that it's my sort of stupid and I still hate it is a testament to its suckness. Because, I mean, on
It's so
paper,
terrible, even Jeff hates it.
I should like it, but I don't. I really don't like it. And when I think about it, I get anxious. And I even went to tried to fire up the sequel, and it started. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I hate The Puppet Master.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It is definitely a terrible film. Number 4 for me is your number 5, Mr. Nobody.
Oh, really? You hated it more than I did.
Yeah, just because it
And
was
that's
long.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, but he's not good in that. It's long. It's convoluted. It's tries to be artistic. It's just everything that you don't want. In
That
a
sounds
film.
like a movie that might be higher up on our lists.
It just it's the rare miss from Mr. Leto, and I did not enjoy it at all.
Yeah, that's saying something when Mark doesn't like a Leto film. Yeah, it was hot garbage. But number 3 is a bit hotter of garbage. I Got the Hookup 2. I hate I Got the Hookup 2. And I didn't think I would. Like, I thought it would at least be goofy enough. Like, I Got the Hookup 1. Technically, it's not a good movie, but it's kind of goofy and silly and fun. There's a storyline you can follow, which I think is the main thing missing from I Got the Hookup 2. Is that what's the story in I Got the Hookup 2?
Nothing.
Someone tell me.
There's nothing.
There were so many characters, and it cut to and fro and back and forth from all these storylines, none of which I felt had a satisfying conclusion. None of the characters were interesting. One guy was just doing a Chris Tucker impression the entire film. So, and even if you might say that's the best part of it, but he's doing an impression of Chris Tucker. It is awful, and I regret picking it.
That's the episode that we also cut to review Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Which does not count, and I don't think we should be allowed to put it on our top 5s.
It's not on my top 5. So my number 3 is Puppet Master. Mm-hmm. And for every reason you mentioned, and that it is just genuinely terrible. It's, the movie starts off with Nazis. There's parts in it that are campy, that are meant to be scary, and it looks terrible. And the fact that it's kind of a cult classic, I guess.
There's literally 10 or more Puppet Master films.
Right. It's mind-boggling how that bad of a film. And the only reason why it's not number 1 is because it was like an hour and 15 minutes long.
Right. I don't know. I think our number 1 film is still worse than
probably.
Master.
I'm interested in your top 2 is because
I picked all the ones you think are super shitty.
Yeah, but
so you know what my number 1 is. So we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Looking down the films we watched this year, do you have any guesses as to what movie I would hate enough to put this high?
All the movies we watched, and we watched a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
There's
know.
One of them I shit on pretty much the rest of the year.
I mean, it could be Critters 2.
What? Hell no! Are you out of your mind? That's on
could be
top.
Double Impact.
What? I would never put Van Damme in one of these. Anyway, it's your boy Franco. It's your damn.
You gotta be kidding! It's not Spring Breakers.
Yeah, it is. Spring Breakers is a piece of shit, man. This
Bro,
is one of the
number
worst
2.
movies I've ever watched.
2. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Absolutely.
are ridiculous. You're
I
ridiculous.
would watch I Got the Hookup 2 again, Puppet Master again, Mr.
You're lying.
Nobody again.
You're lying.
I am not lying. I hate Spring Breakers. I hate that movie. It is truly awful. And here's the difference. Here's why I would watch those other ones, except for maybe Mr. Nobody. The other ones aren't talking down to me. And this one is. And it's doing it, trying to talk down to me while also featuring a gun blowjob. And it's just so dull and boring, and it's got this hum of stupidity over it. It's a piece of shit, and it's the second worst movie I watched this year. And if you keep arguing with me, I'm going to make it number 1.
There's no way you're moving your number 1 to number 2.
Not at all. It's truly awful.
My number 2, I Got the Hookup 2.
Yeah.
Just completely terrible. I don't even know how any studio spent money 20-some years after the first one to make this monstrosity.
How did this get made 20 years later?
You're right. Unless Master P funded it himself. I don't know. He probably
It's possible. He's got money. I just...
It's so bad.
It's unbelievably bad.
And it deserves... has no deserving qualities of why it was made.
I can't point out much at all that redeems it.
It's terrible. It's so bad that if it was me, a TV, and that was playing on loop, I'd probably kill myself.
Well, we don't want that.
Right.
Because the Draft House must go on. So, Mark and I agree I'm guessing. I'm just going to guess that we
Yeah.
agree the worst film we watched this year was The Fountain by
Correct.
Darren Aronofsky. What a piece of shit. It breaks all the rules to me that Spring Breakers did and Mr. Nobody did, but it just does it to the 11th degree. It just shits all over the place. It is so pedantic. It is so pretentious. It is so incomprehensible that I don't understand how anyone can watch this and enjoy it. I know people have, because I've seen like with any film. Every film has someone who likes it.
Sure.
But I don't get it with this one. This is the worst of this genre of film to me. The genre being confusing as hell.
I think
confusing on purpose. This is the worst. This one is
Yeah.
worse than Mr. Nobody, Donnie Darko. I know a lot of people like Donnie Darko. Fair enough. I don't. It's worse than that. It's worse than Stay. It's one of the worst movies I've ever watched, and it's the king of confusing, pretentious bullshit.
I just, it's hard to create a movie and make Hugh Jackman unlikable, right? Darren Aronofsky does it in tenfold here.
Easy.
And
It's
it's just
effortless.
yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, you took one of this generation's most likable people and made them completely, and maybe that's why people like this film. I don't fucking know.
I hate
but,
this movie
but
so
it
much.
is so bad, and like.
Ooh, I mean, the further we get away from it, the more I'm like, maybe this. I don't know if you put Sils Maria in The Fountain in front of me, I might watch Sils Maria again. To be honest,
At least we got Julia Binoche's Bush and
I'm gonna lob this up again. I believe we posed the question on the episode, but I'm gonna do it right now. Is
Okay.
The Fountain the worst movie we've ever watched on the pod? Is
Man,
it worse than The Clouds of Sils Maria?
man, that movie was so pretentious.
It was, but at
Like-
least it wasn't confusing.
Correct. I don't know what's worse, being confusing.
I think
or
we need to be
boring.
unanimous if we're going to usurp the King of Suck.
All right. What was our
I'm gonna-
worst film last year?
I think we
Was-
disagreed.
Was Sils Maria last year?
No,
that was the
Sils
first
Maria
year.
was 2 years ago. My pick
Yeah.
for worst film last year was... No, maybe it was last year. Yeah, I think it was, but it was second. We both agree it was the worst film, but then I tongue-in-cheek put...
Oh yeah, you did.
whatchamacallit above it because I hate that movie too, and I hate Aronofsky.
Wait, what other Aronofsky film did we watch?
You're the one you like with Jared Leto.
Oh,
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem
That's
for a
what I put last because I hate that movie. But I hate this more than Requiem for a Dream. I'm going to posit that I think this is the worst film we've ever watched.
It might be. It might be. I'd have to.
If
I'd
I
have to
came
stew
over
on
to your
it.
house right now
Yeah.
and I said, we're going to watch one of these two movies, which one do I put on?
It's got it would be Sils Maria.
I agree. I think The Fountain is the worst film we've watched.
That's gross. Oh,
It
it's
is
gross.
now. I want to give a big congratulations to Juliette Binoche, to what's her name, Hit Girl, Chloe Grace Moretz. I want to
Yeah.
give them a big congratulations. You've made it out of the last spot here in the Draft House. Not that you care, because you're busy doing other things that actually matter. But
I mean, are they?
The Fountain, I'm really happy to have Darren Aronofsky as director of one of the worst film we've watched here on the show. And so I'm going to celebrate that. And
It's bad.
we both put 9 as the worst film in year one, but this is
yeah.
miles
Oh yeah.
further down the shit.
If we're ranking our bottom 3, 9 is 3.
Yeah.
For sure.
And unlike Sils Maria, this one unanimously got voted this year as the worst film. So I'm happy with The Fountain being the worst film of the year. It's a piece of shit, and may it be buried far, far away. All right, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's get a little more positive. Why don't you start off our
Okay.
top 5? And again, I think
I'm gonna-
much like last year, or much like our bottoms, I think our top number 1 is going to be the same. But
I think so, but I think our list is going to be quite different.
I believe so.
I went down, so I made this list this morning, and I put I'm counting.
Oh, I put a ton.
I put 14 films that I considered for a top 5 spot. 14 weeks.
I put 9.
That's a shit ton. Even
yeah.
9's a lot, right? I mean, it just shows you the quality of film we watched.
Hey, we
this
can get
year.
into like honorable mentions after the count.
Sure. And I went back and forth with this for number 5, but I ultimately went with No Country for Old Men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then the film I was weighing it against was Anne and the Apocalypse, and
really good year, right?
yeah, right. I mean, No Country for the Old Men, just from the storytelling to the acting to the characters to the motifs. I mean, it's just a fantastic film about grief and death and evil and darkness, and it's just and it's just a movie that doesn't come around but once every 10 to 20 years, and the fact that it's number 5 and not number 1 is kind of because it's one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
And I've said that back when we reviewed it, but yeah, I generally love this movie. It's got a lot to say, and it does it so well that it's number 5.
Yeah, so when I get into my top 5, I want to say there's 2 omissions I made, mostly because I've seen them so many times, and they were beloved to me coming into the podcast, so I didn't put them on here. That being Spider-Verse,
Okay.
and which you wouldn't put it on there, but Speed Racer. Both of those
Right.
are movies that I adore, but they're too close to me to put on our top 5 for this. So I stuck to things I hadn't seen before.
Okay.
Or at least are not super familiar with, which I think those were the only 2 that were even considered. So number 5 for me was actually a little bit of K fried C, baby.
Okay.
Killer Joe. I loved
go.
Killer Joe. This movie kept me on my toes. It didn't stop. It was bizarre. It was crazy. It was insane. And it's some of the most fun I had this year watching movies with Mark. Killer Joe. Slade, you got a scene where you fillet some chicken. What else do you want? What else?
Good enough for number 5.
I really love Killer Joe, and it's a movie that I'm like, when it comes up in my brain a lot. Like there are movies I think even higher on this list that I don't come up that much, but I'll just be sitting there talking with a friend, and it'll be like, "Dude, have you seen Killer Joe?" And no one's seen it. I'm like, "You gotta watch Killer Joe. It's crazy." So that's why it made my top 5, because it just keeps coming back to me.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. It was one of my 14 that I considered.
Yeah,
And so number 4 for me is gonna be Barbie.
yeah,
Just a wonderfully silly yet thoughtful approach to being a woman and womanhood, and colorful, and it just Ryan Gosling is terrific in it. Margot Robbie's terrific. I mean, it's got everything you want. It was a blockbuster. It was just set design and costume and acting. It just has everything. It's probably going to be a Best Picture winner at the Oscars this year, but it's number 4 for me.
yeah. Great. I also enjoyed it, but I went with a different number 4, and Matthew McConaughey month was very good to us. I selected Dallas Buyers Club, starring your boy, Jared Leto. I think the movie is really wonderful. I think the characters are great. There's a lot of messages here. There's a message of, you get to watch a character grow out of their prejudices. Go from being someone who's homophobic, but to someone who is an ally. You get the whole story of how the FDA really doesn't give a shit about you. They give a shit about money. And I loved this movie. I thought it was excellent, superbly acted, had a great message, and I got nothing else to add. It was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one too. It was also one of the 14 I considered.
Not surprising.
Number 3, a recent classic, right?
New Year's Evil.
The Prestige. It is probably Nolan's best film, and it just the way that it's done, the story, how the story is told through it, and then at the end of the movie, you're just like, holy shit, let me go watch this again. Like immediately, let me go watch this again, and fantastic performances from everybody in it. It just it's so good, and it is it's a modern classic, and I feel strongly about it being in my top 3.
I'm glad. Because it ain't in mine. Because my number 3, baby. My number 3. I don't know if I want to call it surprise, but I think I'm going to call it the delight of my year, even though number 1 probably is more delightful. But this movie delighted me. And that's Nicolas Cage and the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I loved this shit. And Pedro Pascal this movie's funny, exciting, adventurous. It breaks the fourth. Well, it doesn't really break the fourth wall, but it kind of does, like in essence of what it is. It made me want to watch Paddington 2. This is one of my favorite movies this year. And it's not just a favorite, but I get a warm feeling when I think about it. I'm like, that was so much fun and enjoyable. I think I'll watch it right now. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Fantastic.
I did enjoy that film. However, it was not one of the 14 that I considered.
Fair enough. We're different people. We've discovered that over the last 3 years.
Number 2, and it's probably our top 2 probably line up. But my number 2 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just a crazy, convoluted story that is told in a way that you understand it. It's got it's your rare A24 film that you love.
Whoa, you were putting words in my mouth. Go back and listen to that episode. You enjoyed it much more than I did.
Oh, okay.
Rare A24 movies I love. The Wrestler.
Yeah.
The Lobster.
Okay.
And then soon to be Iron Claw.
Anyways, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle Yeoh is fantastic. I mean, it's a heartwarming, down to earth with this grand story of alternate universes, but at the very end of it, it boils down to a mother's relationship with her daughter, and I just think it's one of the best films we've watched, period. And good enough for number 2.
Yeah, at some point, I think you got it in your head. I really loved that movie, and I just didn't. And I've soured on it since we've watched it. I don't think it's
weird.
bad, but feel free to go back and listen. I think I'm a little more lukewarm than you remember. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm raving about it, but I don't think so. But at least in my reality now, one heart attack later, I don't really like that movie as much as I did. So it didn't make my top 5. So my number 2 actually was another movie with heart and just incredible characters and storytelling. A movie that made me cry and made me thrilled and gave me the chills, and it did it without saying many words at all. My number 2 movie is A Quiet Place by John Krasinski.
Okay.
I fucking love A Quiet Place, man. It's a movie I avoided for a long time. If you listen to the episode where it's drafted, I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to sit through this movie where no one talks. And it kicked ass. It kicked my ass. It was awesome. Loved it. So.
It cannot be... Well, I guess it could be in consideration for movies. Our theme next week. Next year. Next month.
Yeah.
All the above.
Yeah. Too late. So real quick, because we both know our number 1 is the same. Other honorable mentions on mine was actually Benedetta, Basic Instinct. And those are the only other 2 that I really considered for my tops.
You're gonna get a kick out of this one. let's see. There Will Be Blood, Prey, House of Gucci.
Yeah. I thought about House of Gucci. It almost made it into my short list, but not quite. I think it was a little long in the tooth for me, and I just was like, "Nyeh." Speaking of long in the tooth, our number one movie, our good friends Beam and Raji, RRR. Holy shit.
I'm trying to move my head and point at the poster. Or
Yeah, good.
the tapestry on my wall.
Yeah, we love Beam and Raji. I have to thank Mark for making me watch it because at a 3-hour-long movie that's subtitled and in a foreign language, I don't think I'd ever have clicked play. But it, obviously being my number one film of the year, stole my heart. It lives on the Mount Rushmore of good movies from our podcast, which we'll have to go back over again. I think that we got 3 of them up there.
Yeah.
Which is RRR, Jojo Rabbit, and the Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
So we're still looking for that elusive 4th film, but for me, RRR is just, it's the shit.
It is so, it's told in episodes, right? So first hour, 1 episode, second, third. But it's a superhero film. It is a bromance film.
I doubted you.
Yeah,
When
I
I was like, this shit ain't a bromance. And then
Bro,
I
it's a
watched
bromance.
it, and it's the
Bro,
biggest bromance. It's
the-
the greatest
the
bromance ever told.
The tapestry on my wall is them riding a fucking motorcycle together.
Dude, that scene when he wobbles on the bike and he pats him on the back, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever watched. And,
it
I
is-
was like, it's the greatest bromance.
it's a musical. Scenes. It is.
Kiss
It
my
hits.
ass, the
It
dance
hits.
scenes.
It hits all of the check boxes for an iconic film that ultimately will live in infamy for
I don't know
all
about
various.
infamy.
I mean,
Infamy usually indicates a
is
negative.
bad, right?
Right.
But and I'm sure there's people out there that are like, oh, no.
Well, they didn't watch the fucking movie then.
That's true. I've
yet to meet someone who sat down and watched this and didn't go,
That
holy
didn't like it.
Because
Right,
most
right.
of the time what they do is, hey, have you seen this movie called RRR? And I'm like, hell yeah, I have. And I've had that conversation multiple times with different people where they'll
Yeah.
bring it up first. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I did.
Oh, and you're just pinpointing like different parts of the movie.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
everyone's
shit,
like,
yeah.
but the thing it comes down to, there is a part where he swings a motorcycle and hits someone. I'm like, bro, that's dope. But then there's the scene where he's twirling around and cocking those rifles while his buddy rides on his head. Get the hell out of here, man.
It's a fantastic film. I'm appreciative for the podcast for allowing us to watch it. It is a wonderful 3-hour adventure, and it actually makes me want to go watch it right now.
Yeah, I think if you haven't seen it and you're one of those people who's like me, who's like, I don't want to sit down for 3 hours and watch subtitle. Sit down for 1 hour.
Yeah,
And if after 1 hour you're like, fuck this shit, fine, tap out.
Eh.
You won't. You won't, though. It's so good.
I bet you won't.
Yeah, I don't think you will.
All right, so
You
year
have to be
3 in the
fucking
books.
racist to hate that movie. That's the only thing I can say. You have to be fucking racist to hate horror. It's so incredible.
Racism plays a role in that film.
But I'm saying it's a good way to tell if to ask someone,
right.
do you like horror? Nah, man, I hated that shit. Fucking
racist.
Piece of shit.
Year 3 in the books, Jeff. I am in awe
Of me.
of our staying power. I am in awe of you. You came back to life this year.
Hey, we didn't miss 1 week.
Right.
I fucking died and the train still kept rolling.
Of all the things to be appreciative this year, I'm thankful that you're still doing this with me. And
Me too.
We have the podcast has seen its growth. We've had tremendous growth this year, and we launched our YouTube channel this year. And steady, we're racking up the views. The subscribers are, I think will come, but we're steady racking up views. But just the expansion of this podcast with two dudes talking shit about movies, it's awesome. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you. So thanks for going into year 4 with it, right?
Yeah, man. I'm excited. We have fun, and I think we finally got past the point where you're worried about me quitting. Because there were many times early on, Mark was like, "You're not quitting, are you?" I'm like, "No, damn it, Mark, no." So here we are.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and we both do this, out of fun, right? We don't make any money off it. But it's a highlight of my week every week when we get together and watch a movie and talk about it. And I look forward. There's some weeks I don't look forward to the movie.
But you always look forward to the conversation.
I do. I always look forward to recording.
There are some weeks where I don't look forward to the movie, and then I'm pleasantly surprised.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's fucking Karate Kid. That one surprised the hell out of me.
Anyways, so
it's draft night, bitches.
It's draft night.
All right,
after all of this, we still got a draft.
We still got a draft. So our first theme of 2024 is going to be films starring and directed by. So the film will be directed by an actor who's also in the film, and we said cameos do not count. So Alfred Hitchcock poking in, or maybe M. Night Shyamalan just showing up for one scene. Nah, that's not what we mean. We want him to be an integral part. I guess my rule of thumb is they should have been able to be nominated for supporting actor. They don't have to be the main character. Okay. So I think of something like Tom Hanks's That Thing You Do, where, he's in that movie. He's more than a bit player, but he's not the main character. That still qualifies for me.
I think an interesting ripple here would be if you picked Quiet Place 2.
Oh, shit.
Because Krasinski is in that film for flashbacks. So
no, that doesn't count. We're not doing that.
No, I mean, but he's in the movie.
Yeah, that's
for
fine.
A good chunk.
It's not part of what I selected. I'll find another way to squeeze it in. So, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? How do you want to do this?
I can go first because I think I got a good one we can start off the month with.
I'm really curious. One thing before we started recording, Mark says, "Oh, damn! I just rolled across a movie I think you're going to pick. Damn it!"
Oh yeah, no.
Curious to see what that was.
I don't know how to.
No, let's give it. Let's see if I pick it.
Okay.
And then if I don't, you can tell me what it was, and if I do, you can tell me that was it.
Right. Okay. Starting us off, it's a film from 2019. Shocker. And comes in at 2 hours, and it's directed, written, and starring Casey Affleck.
Not this motherfucker.
Wait, you don't like Casey Affleck?
No, I don't. But go ahead.
Oh,
I knew you were going to pick an Affleck. I didn't realize you're going to pick the shitty one. But go ahead. Starting off the new year with a positive attitude.
I've forgotten that you don't like him for the off screen stuff.
Not only that, but you picked that other shit that was in my bottom list last year that he directed. I'm Still Here. Fuck that guy. He's garbage.
No,
but go ahead. No, let's. A
month or so
ago,
me
being surprised.
Surprise! A month or so ago, I did a 5-minute review on this because I had never seen it, and after I watched it, I was like, "Holy shit! I want to watch this with Jeff." Mainly because I want to get your thoughts on it. But it's called Light of My Life, and it's a post-apocalyptic film. Starring Casey Affleck and just literally his a kid playing his daughter, it's I can't wait to talk about it. Because I do want your thoughts.
It's called The Light of My Life.
And it's called Light of My Life.
Oh God! Let me write it down.
I love how you just like instantly are like, "Fuck this movie."
Yeah. Hey. Like I said, though, I've been surprised before.
Yeah.
and it might get me. You never know. I just don't like Casey Affleck. Fuck that guy. That being said, it's my turn to pick, and I'm going to pick a fucking classic that I've never seen. From 1832. No. They didn't make movies that far back. The silent era.
Those
was
are
like
called
the
minstrel
20s.
shows.
Yeah, that's different. No, from 1996, a film that I'm guessing you've seen because it is a fucking classic. It's starring and directed by Billy Bob Thornton,
Okay. Oh,
who's come up in my estimation a lot.
Sling Blade?
We're gonna watch Sling Blade. I've never seen it yet. I've heard.
I've never seen it either.
Oh, great! I've just heard it's a movie that comes up a lot that I've just never seen. So I think it's high time I sit down and watch Sling Blade.
I mean, I've seen like excerpts from it, and like it's one of Billy Bob Thornton's most remembered.
He wrote, directed, and starred in this. So
Yeah, so that's their second film with wrote, starred, and directed. Okay, I'm on board. I'm interested. I wish I was picking fourth. It's because you
there's no way you pick the movies I'm picking.
really.
The Sling Blade was the only chance you had to pick one of the movies I picked, like that I thought
okay.
you might have picked.
Okay, then we're gonna watch Tropic Thunder.
Who directed that?
Ben Stiller.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Mark, you beautiful bastard. Here I am thinking.
I thought that was on your list.
Was that the one you were like, oh, I found it?
No.
Okay, because there's no way you know what I'm picking next. So tell me, what was the movie you thought I was going to pick? That way, if I choose to, I can pick it now if I want.
The Quest.
Oh, no. You could go listen to a
Jean-Claude Van Damme, starring,
review.
written by, and
directed. Yeah, I love The Quest. It's good, but I went a different route. This is a movie I actually wanted to put on during Erotic Thrillers Month, but I wasn't sure if it was erotic enough to qualify. It is directed by Danny DeVito and starring Danny DeVito. Remember we talked about Danny DeVito being in a romantic or a erotic thriller?
Yeah.
He's not one of the mains. Actually, who is? I'm going to ask you for the third time. Who is the king of erotic thrillers?
Michael Douglas.
Michael fucking Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito. We're going to watch War of the Roses from 1989.
Let me look this fucking film up.
Or we could watch The Quest. I'll let you you look it up, and then if you say, nah, let's watch The Quest, we'll do it.
No, I like the cover of the poster. For
Yeah, it
War
looks
of the
good,
Roses.
right?
All right, we can watch this.
Yeah, it's like if I remember, so this is a movie that's in my periphery. I remember like my mom watching it or my sister watching it, and it being this thing where this two married couple, they basically just try to kill each other. And I was like,
Hey.
damn, that's dark. But I've always wanted to sit down and watch it, but I've never done it. So here we go.
It's got a 6.8 on IMDb.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I know. War of the Roses. What was your first film?
All right, I got to hear. Your first film was Light of My Life.
Yeah.
My first film was Sling Blade.
Oh, that's right.
Then you went and picked Tropic Thunder like some sort of beautiful bastard. And then I picked War of the Roses. Any
I
chance
choose-
one of these four films is going to be our number one movie next year? I'm going to say no.
Maybe.
Hey,
Maybe.
Sling Blade might blow us away. Light of My
Light
Life
of
might.
Life, yeah.
Oh, God.
Tropic Thunder, maybe.
No. I've seen it too many times. It's great, but it's not an all-time great.
Okay, that's fine. So there you have it. We got movies.
You did talk about this movie before.
Which one?
Light of My Life. Was this the one where his son is Trans or was that a different
No.
movie? No, that was
No,
a Steve Zahn
different
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different one. But so there you have it. Coming next week, we'll have new music with this new theme of movies directed and starring the same person, and to start off 2024. And so, if you want to follow the podcast on any social media platform, we're at Movie Draft House. You can hit the subscribe button when it pops up if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to follow Jeff and tell him, hey, man, it's been quite a while. You should forgive and forget Casey Affleck. You can do so at Podcast by Jeff.
And if you want to get in touch with Mark and be like, hey, man, it's been quite a while. It's probably time you admit that shit wasn't a Western. You can do so at I Heard You Liked on Twitter. Also, I want to tell you,
Yes.
one of the films on my short list for January was written, directed, and starring Mel Brooks. And it's a parody of a bunch of Alfred Hitchcock films called High Anxiety. But I did not pick it. I was close, though.
Speaking of terrible people, one of the ones on my short list was directed and starring Kevin Spacey, Beyond the Sea.
Ah, thank God. I'd rather actually stick with the one you gave us then.
I've seen Beyond the Sea. It's back when it first came out, but I remember it being kind of pretty good.
Great.
I'm a big what's that guy's name?
Derek Jeter.
The lounge singer guy.
It's not
Beyond
unusual to be loved by anyone. Tom Jones.
No, the Beyond
He
the
was in Mars Attacks.
Beyond the Sea, Beyond the Sea guy.
I don't know who that is.
It's a biography. Bobby Darin. God damn it.
Great.
Anyways,
Don't ever pick it.
it's also got what's her face in it? Kate Bosworth, John Goodman, Bob Hoskins. Oh, a Bob Hoskins film.
Bob
that.
Hoskins now. I do like Bob Hoskins.
Anyways, any words to ring in the new year?
Nope. See y'all next year.